All right. I don't know if you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. Hello, hello, check. And greetings, welcome. Sorry for my lateness. I just, I got a lot of things going on. Today, somebody is painting my house, and they showed up like right before the show. Like right before the show. So, I have, I had to do a lot of, kind of, getting things together or, figuring out what needed to be done in the immediate when they showed up. So I almost actually canceled the show because, yeah, it was just like a lot too much. It was too close to the show and there was too much going on. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to just like stop and deal with this and not do the show because there's too much going on. But I got most of it done. We'll see, there's still stuff I have to do to get, to be, to kind of make the situation go. So we'll just try and do our best today. Sorry about that. Best laid plans and all that. Yeah, well, had they showed up much earlier in the day, it would have been fine. I would have been like, I got you. But when, it's like somebody showing up to your house to do something right when you're on your way to work. And you're like, and, I got something to do. Anyways. Anyways, good to see you. I won't take up too much more time talking about that kind of stuff. Clayton Halligan did give me a coffee yesterday. Thank you. Clayton said, buymeachicken.com. Love what you are doing. Thank you, Clayton. I appreciate it. Man, I missed so much stuff yesterday, and it might take me like 3 days to cover all the stuff that I wanted to cover just yesterday. But we'll try and get into it. So, you know what I'm noticing today? I've noticed this morning is a lot of people, and we were talking about this yesterday. I noticed a lot of interesting conversations. Oh, Ann Jones says, I get paid more than $395 per hour for working online. Thanks, Ann. What's up, Rockfin? We're live on Rockfin. What's up? Colin, we're live on Colin. Yesterday we were talking about Joe Rogan having some guys on talking about climate change. And how maybe that was a weird conversation. And then, well, last night I was listening to Jimmy Dore, and he had on Steve Kirsch. I like Steve Kirsch. I like Steve Kirsch a lot. Steve Kirsch does really good work around COVID and the medical procedures and stuff like that, right? So Steve Kirsch has a big following. And I like his work. I like what he does. But here's an interesting thing that was said on the show. Kind of at the end of the conversation, Jimmy Dore was like, because they so obviously lied to us, right? Because the whole COVID situation was so full of misinformation and lies. Lone Wanderer, you're in Pomona? Wow, I didn't know you were that close. Pomona is relatively close. In fact, I was born in Pomona. Didn't know that, did you? Um, Jimmy Dore said because there was so much misinformation and it's so obvious now. And this scene, I don't, I for a second I was almost like a little, uh, felt a little bad for continuing to talk about this subject. And we're gonna move on. Anyways, we're mixing a couple things together, but actually, just because of the conversations uh, that have been happening over the last few days, I feel like, well, I actually, darn, I'm right over the target. I'm actually right over the target. I'm actually right in the thick of kind of what's happening um, in the truth information situation and whatever. The revealing of what's actually going on behind the scenes with the powers that be and the powers that have the plans and the Davos crew and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So Jimmy Dore, because he says to Steve Kirsch, because we were given so much misinformation, it makes people doubt everything, even climate change. Right? This is from Jimmy Dore's mouth. And I was like, uh-oh, where are you going with this? So what Jimmy Dore said was like, I'm not saying climate change isn't false. And he's like, and I don't want anybody cutting this video up saying that I said climate change is false. What he said was, because of the lies, because of the nonstop lies, because of the nonstop propaganda and brainwashing, it makes, the reality that people are coming to is that, oh, we have been lied to on a massive scale. And so it makes people question everything. And we know this. We know this. And I've been talking about this kind of nonstop, which is that, the truthers are on a roll. And I say that. I'm a truther. I say that being a truther. Like, I consider myself mostly a truther. Mostly a alternative journalist along those lines. Yeah, extra bola, that may have been the goal all along, to get people to believe anything except what they want. To not believe anything except what they want. Right. So, but that's exactly what I've been saying for a long time, right? The truthers are on a roll. The conspiracy theorists have been proven right, and as they should have been. However, when it comes to climate change, they're completely wrong, and so they're running into this one full bore now. Oh, and climate change is false too. No, that's where they're messing up. But this revelation of falsehoods has given, the denialists stronger, or it's made the idea that maybe we should give them some room to talk, or to present their case, a little more relevant. And here's the thing, I'm fine with that. However, there's a lot of misinformation in the denialist view, tons of it, and we know this. And so now it's really hard to talk about climate change. It's even harder to educate people around climate change because people don't want to believe anything. And they've been told by the conspiracy theorists, side of the journalism crew, the truther movement, that climate change is a hoax and it's all planned, a big plan, and it's been and we know that's not true. I also heard something else very interesting on another on another show that I watch frequently, where the host is mainly climate change skeptic, and the co-host said there's something going on. We can obviously see that something's going on, whether it's climate change or geoengineering or something. We know something is different. And I was like, aha, well, thank you for saying that. Thank you for at least, pushing back on that. Something is happening. And we know this, and we know what it is. We know what it is. And I'm not saying that geoengineering isn't in there somewhere as well, but But another funny thing in the same conversation, the host said, "Well, I can't deny climate change on YouTube, can I?" You totally can, dude. You totally. That's the thing. So climate change denial is not a punishable offense anywhere. Not on Twitter, not on YouTube, not on Facebook, and so that also should give you a clue. Even though, even though there's plenty of climate change believers that are saying like these people should have no voice, they should be deplatformed. We should, I'm not one of those people, right? If you're a climate change skeptic or denier, or you're not convinced or whatever, fine, that's fine. Present your case. It's not a very good one. Blah blah blah. I don't care. I don't want to see anybody silenced. However, the reality is that climate change skepticism is not a silenceable offense. It is an offense. Silenceable offense. Saying that being a doomer is actually a silenceable offense. Not, you don't necessarily get banned or anything, but check out Michael Moore. Right? Michael Moore put a documentary out, and people didn't like several points. Point number one, renewable. The renewable revolution is a falsehood. Point number two, climate change is, progressing apace and getting worse, and we're not doing anything, to actually deal with the problem. And three, they did mention overpopulation. They're like, there's an issue with overpopulation. And I think he, I don't know which one was the punishable offense, or maybe it was all three. But Michael Moore's, they tried to cancel that film. They tried to cancel that film. And I can tell you right now, Tony Heller is running free through the fields of YouTube, and so is Ice Age Farmer. So is what's the guy's name? Steve Koonin. All the deniers are. Nobody is getting demonetized or canceled for being a climate change denier. I'm going to tell you that right now. That is not happening. If anybody has any evidence to the contrary, please let me know. Climate change deniers get full effing range on saying whatever they want on any platform at any. What the heck? Sorry, guys. I got bumped off my internet for a second. That should tell you that there's actually a faction of, whoever. They're totally fine with denialism, right? They're fine with skepticism. They've been pushing, meaning the oil companies and the powers that be, have been pushing skepticism and denialism on purpose. On purpose. And so they're not going to be silenced. They're not going to be demonetized. They're not going to be deplatformed. So saying that you're going to be deplatformed for climate change denial is absolutely, bunk. It's bunk. Anyways, am I still on Rockfin? Yeah. Anyways, but I am all for. Oh, and here was the thing that Jimmy Dore said to Steve Hirsch was, yeah, okay, now people are questioning climate change. Steve Hirsch was like, yeah, well, I looked into it, and I think, and he quoted somebody who's saying that we're like in a cooling period, or we're going, the solar minimum, and I was like, dude, you're not. Stop. Stop it. Like. Again, quoting the misinformation crew as if, they had the right idea. It's fine. I get it. And now it's going to be even harder to present the case of climate change. But, that's what we're here for. Jimmy says, hi, I'm new person, turquoise waving. I like your coffee cup. What's up? How you doing? Thanks. I'm glad you like the coffee cup. Well, welcome if you're new. So anyways, yeah, there's a lot of discussion about climate change right now. So, and the pros and the cons and is it real or is it not? But I mean, I go back to the co-host of the show I was watching that said something is definitely different. If you're noticing, if you're awake and you're alive and you see that where did all the insects go? Where did all the birds go? Why are the weather patterns so messed up? Why are the seasons so messed up? Why are we having constant bouts of drought, rain, floods, snow, polar vortex, freezing, heat wave, right? That's called things are out of whack, climate change. It's unfortunate because, the other thing I want to say is, the title of this video is serious as a heart attack. So I am going to get in, I'm going to drop this and move into some other stuff that I want to cover for the last several days regarding COVID. And I just can't keep letting it go because I don't have any time. I don't have enough time to get to everything, but, in the alternative journalist, aka slash truther slash whatever community, which I'm fond of, and I'm they have great relevance in my life. There's this the thing about, well, they're trying to scare you with COVID, right? And what you should be scared of is authoritarianism, and I down with that, right? My fear of COVID is, way down here, like not scared at all. Authoritarianism, though, however, pretty high up for me. However, one step up from authoritarianism is, wiping, most of the species of the planet off the face of the earth, including ourselves, and rendering the earth pretty much uninhabitable for, who knows how long. That would be above authoritarianism for me. So the thing is that you have to, right, when you're trying to gauge what should I be afraid of, right? So, and they're trying to paint climate change as the same thing as COVID, right? Oh, they're trying to scare you with the climate change because they're trying to say it's like COVID. No, it's not the same thing. That's the thing. You're trying to equate two different subjects as if they are the same thing. Could they possibly be giving people could they have plans on trying to implement some kind of control mechanisms around climate change? Sure, for sure. But we know that all that is bullshit. We know that all that is bullshit, right? Because somebody had a really good point about this from the Doomers Cafe. So why are the world governments opening coal plants and extracting fossil fuels? Why do they continue to expand the extraction of fossil fuels? To continue the way of life that people of this age expect. Otherwise, they will be kicked out of office. If a leader actually tried to stop opening coal plants and developing fossil fuel extraction, they would be kicked out of office and replaced with someone else that will burn fossil fuels. In the same way that if somebody were in office and they tried to put a halt to the military-industrial system, or even just pare it down just a little tiny bit, they would be run out of office. Right? The military-industrial system and the oil companies are like this, hand in glove, hand in hand, whatever you want to say. They run the show, right? Even more than Big Pharma, oil companies run the show. So if you think, that if you think they're really going to stop, industrial civilization as we know it, or stop oil companies, or stop oil extraction, or stop life as we know it on the planet, and move into some other kind of climate change gulag lifestyle, it ain't going to happen. It's really not going to happen. So, and they're, it's just like, what's the reality of all the conferences, the climate conferences, to just get together and act like they're doing something about climate change, but they're not really doing anything about climate change. Why? Because the fossil fuel companies are in there going, hey, we're more powerful than you. And what we have to say goes, right? What we have to say is more important than what you have to say about climate change. What we have to say is that don't worry about it so much. Climate change is way off here. Bad climate change is way out here. And we can continue the game for as long as we say we want to continue the game. Right? That's how powerful fossil fuel companies are. So the purpose of the conferences, the climate conferences, is pretty much null and void. And the purposes of even World Economic Forum and Davos and all the people saying, well, we're going to get together and make all these new rules around climate change. Well, they're not doing anything about climate change, and we know that. And we know that. We know that whatever they're going to do around climate change isn't going to do anything about climate change. That doesn't mean that climate change is false. Okay? And I urge people, people who are skeptical of climate change, fine, be skeptical, but while you're busy being skeptical and doing your research and homework and stuff, maybe look into what it is, looking deeply into climate change science. The West is drying out. The West Coast is drying out, yes. The sun is out today. It's a nice day. It's a lovely day. It's actually almost warm. It's actually almost warm. But they're not, they're not going to stop this way of life anytime soon. And if they really tried to stop this way of life, well, A, they wouldn't be allowed to. They'd be run out of office and run out of, right? They'd be taken offline. They'd be, right? They're not going to stop it. I mean, isn't that the point of the renewable energy revolution? Right? You have to be in a very specific kind of lane, right? Where it's like, well, climate change is really bad, but we've got to, switch over to green energy, and there's no such thing as overpopulation. We can feed the world with green energy and equity and sustainability. Right? That's the lane that everybody has to be in, the sustainability lane. Which is not a real lane to be. That's not the truth, right? That's not going to work out. That's not a real lane either. Extra Bullet says politicians are just going to do what their oligarch masters tell them. The system needs to be torn down and rebuilt with the earth and the people in mind. Yeah, exactly. I have so much to cover that I'm actually not covering anything. Well, let's watch Steve Koonin. I don't know. I don't even know if this is really, it's more painful than anything. But, we'll watch what some of the denial crowd are saying. But they're giving, I don't care if Jordan Peterson wants to talk to Steve Koonin. I don't really care. It's just that is anybody pushing back on this? Is anybody really pushing back on this? And honestly, if you're saying well, we're beyond debating climate change, I don't know if that's really going to be helpful. That's not a helpful argument, to the crowd that doesn't believe in what's going on. If you say, well, we're not going to debate it, you actually make yourself look worse. Unfortunately, as much as, I think, well, it's just obvious. And, this seems like, like a small child could understand this, right? The obviousness of what's going on the planet. I feel like it's, fairly obvious, is pretty obvious. But to say that it's a done deal or settled science or it can't be debated, I think is not going to help your case, right? Anyways, let's see what he has to say.
To now, the globe has warmed about 1.3 degrees Celsius.
Okay, so this is interesting because this is a new tactic. This is a new tactic. So he's saying, or this is a new, I don't know, this is a new something, this is a new wrinkle to this argument, which is that, well, he's admitting that the Earth is warmed, right? So he's not actually denying that there's warming going on. Great. Okay, that's helpful. And he's like, and it's going to warm some more, but humans and human the technological economic, there's going to be economic growth, and humans are going to grow, and the economy is going to grow, and we're going to be fine into the future despite climate change. So this is, I don't know what this is. I can't really understand this, because he's admitting that we have warmed and are going to continue warming, but it's not a thing. It's just not a problem. So he's showing his lack of understanding of what climate science is telling us, or what it actually looks like, or what it's actually looking like right now. Like, if we lost food production to a lack of regularity and seasons, right, and how seasons work, and we lost massive, 50% of global food production, how do you think that would go for the GDP or for humans on the planet? Not really well, but let's listen to this.
In that time, we've seen the greatest improvement in human betterment we've ever seen. The population has gone up by a factor of 5 in that 120 years. The GDP per capita has gone up by a factor of 7. Longevity increased from 32 years to the current 72 years across the globe. Literacy fraction has gone up enormously. Fraction in extreme poverty has gone down, and so on, even as the globe warmed another 1.3 degrees. Now, the IPCC projects, best guess right now, about another 1.3 degrees of warming in the.
Whoa! So he's like we're gonna be like close to 3 degrees of warming, and that's just not going to be a problem for humans. I just don't. We're at 1.3, and if you can see the effing chaos that's going on in our weather systems, if you can see that 1.3 is problematic, and you think another 1.3 is going to be like shoulder shrug to humans. He is only, that's the thing, is he's like, well, humans have got this. We're great. And look at how much we've done with all the warming we've created. I mean, the argument is wild, because he's saying like, well, we've warmed that planet a bit, but look what we've done with all that warming. And then we're going to have some more warming, and look what we're going to do with some more warming. It's going to be great. Okay.
The next 100 years. To think that additional warming is going to reverse or even significantly derail the progress we've had is just nonsense. Okay? And in fact, the IPCC reports say that, at least on the economic front, a few degrees of warming is a few percent hit on the GDP.
Which will increase anyway, substantially over the next 100 years. Right.
So instead of going up by 400%, it'll go up 385%.
Right,
or something,
right.
Which is within the uncertainty, well within the uncertainty.
Oh God. Okay. I mean, like, I don't even know what to say about this. North, I see you. I'm going to take your call in a second. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about this, because this is a weird wrinkle to the argument. He said a few different things. He's taken several of the different denialist tacks, but this is a new one to me, which is like, yeah, totally, we're going to warm like 3 degrees C, and that's going to be okay. Like, I don't even get it. So human progress is going to overcome the warming, and the warming is only a hit to our economy and nothing else. It does not affect ecology. It doesn't affect species. It doesn't affect any plants or animals or anything. It doesn't affect anything but GDP. That's all it affects. This is peak human stupidity right here. And I'm sorry to be, I am being mean. Jordan Peterson looks hella smug. I am being somewhat mean in saying that, but I have to say this is peak human stupidity, because if you only look at climate change as just affecting GDP and nothing else, it doesn't affect anything else on the planet, you're a dumbass. you are straight up like elementary school dumb. I don't know. Elementary school might actually be smarter than this dude. I mean, but it's true. The dude is leaving out like the actual effects of climate change on the planet. Like he's just talking about people and the economy. Well, the economy is going to be fine, and we're going to be fine because the economy is going to be fine, and we're going to grow food in space pods and import it from space or something, or under the ocean. We're going to build a new city of Atlantis, and we're going to live down. I mean, where are we going to go when the rest of the species are gone and the plants, can't survive anymore, and the trees start dying and everything is dying around us? Do you think we're still going to be figuring it out? Are we going to be living on sludge we grew in vats? What are we going to be living on? I don't understand this. Anyways, whatever. North, how you doing?
Yo, man. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, just a quick point. I just want to, anybody is like listening to podcasts, anybody that's like listening to shows on YouTube and stuff, whenever they have a guest on, just in the back of your mind, remind yourself, like, why isn't the counterpoint to this guest on at the same time? I can't count how many Joe Rogan episodes I watched where there would be a guy, like when you're talking about something controversial, whether it be COVID, flat Earth, do dinosaurs exist?
Sure.
What if it's just one guy monologuing
right
the entire time and getting no pushback? Like Jordan Peterson isn't a climatologist. He's not and
Jordan Peterson actually said, there's a clip of him saying, I don't know what we do about climate change. He knows that climate change is real. He absolutely knows it's happening. He admitted it before. He said, it's so huge and so massive, I don't think we're going to figure it out.
Yeah, but then at the same time, he tries to kind of obfuscate the issue as much as he can, now he's, because his audience is largely conservative. Right.
Now he's actually benefiting off of throwing up like the skeptical view, even though he has admitted in the past that he knows it's real and he knows it's too big of a problem to deal with. So he's changed I see it all over the place. Like Joe Rogan totally knows that climate change is a real thing. He totally knows it's happening. Yeah. Like I've heard plenty of podcasts with him saying like, it's a thing, it's a real thing, we're going to have to do something different. And now he's capitalizing on throwing up skeptical ideas around it, and it's odd to me. Yeah. It's really weird. Even on some levels, Jimmy Dore wasn't saying he didn't believe in climate change. He was just saying he just opened the door a little bit. He was like, well, now we don't believe anything. Now we don't believe anything that the powers that be are saying. Now we're going to doubt every single thing. And how about climate change? How about we doubt that too, right? So it's like, okay.
Yeah, I would just.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just anytime you're watching a show, just ask yourself, like, why isn't there a counter argumenter in this episode? And like when you get really deep into thinking something, do yourself a favor and start to research the other side of it. Double check yourself and all the things that you think,
sure.
Just to make sure that you're not going down the wrong path and just thinking something because it appeals to your, style at the time. I used to be like into conspiracies a lot when I was younger, and it would be through trying to find out more about those conspiracies that I would end up debunking myself.
Right. Okay.
And I just think that like there's not enough of that going on, where people are
Yeah.
checking themselves on everything that they believe.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good thing to do. I see there are a few people that can do that. I watch a show, Lift the Veil, and I think the host is pretty good. I mean, he is a climate change skeptic, and so it's interesting to me because he actually tries to debunk conspiracy theories, right? So he likes conspiracy theories, but he'll actually try to go to the other side of it, like what's the reality of it going on. However, he's a climate change skeptic, and he won't do that with climate change. So I'm like, why don't you do that? And that's what everybody does. Like, all these guys are really great at researching and looking at things and investigating things, and like you guys, you're on it. You're so effing on it. But when it comes to climate change, you're like, I just don't believe it. Like, okay, then, you're not a science. You're not a researcher. And you're not unbiased, and you're not skeptical. You're not skeptical enough of your own beliefs. And I'm just telling you that. Believe what you want. Say what you want. Do what you want. I am into free speech. But I'm just saying, my free speech is about calling out the people, not just calling out the things that are wrong with the powers that be, but I'm going to call out people that, just push stuff out there that isn't necessarily very researched. So, and, people can call me out too. It's fine. I get called out all the time. It's all right. It's all right. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But good point, North. I agree with you. All right. I'm going to, I got to move on to, I'm going to move on to a couple more stories before I get out of here. But thanks for calling in, North. Let's see. But there's a lot going on in the world of COVID and vaccines. So I think I'm going to jump off YouTube for the last 10 or 12 minutes of the show, guys. Sorry, YouTubers. I know I started a little bit late, but I've got to end on time today. It's just a weird day. So YouTubers, thank you so much. I'm going to check the coffees one more time. buymeacoffee.com/BlackBurnNews. You know the deal. You know the thing. Rockfin, also a good way to support the show. Thank you. I'm going to do the last couple minutes on Rockfin. And also Colin, we're hanging out. Jimmy, I'm on rockfin.com, just Black Bear News. You can look me up. And you don't have to sign up for an account to watch the show. All right. So YouTubers, have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and peace.